Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth from lifeonfire.com, and it's my mission to help you light up your business, light up your life, and set it all on fire. And who we have today is a guy named Mike Koenigs, a very good friend of mine who's out here in San Diego as well. And we put on our big Ignite events right in LA. And so Mike came up for this and he shared some of his best content. And so what you're about to see is a glimpse behind the scenes at our Ignite event where he broke down and shared how you can take your cell phone, your iPhone, your smartphone, and how you can turn this into a selfie creating video production studio. And I mean, literally what he breaks down is a whole business model about how to take your phone, how to stream, whether it's Periscope, whether it's YouTube Live, creating a YouTube show, but how to turn that into a business and how to take that and get your message out to the world and create a show. Whether it's an online live show or a YouTube show, how you could take that knowledge and get it out there. So it's not just about the creation, it's about the marketing behind it. So he is one of the best in the industry when it comes to innovation and live streaming. So have a glimpse at Mike Koenigs.
Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here, and I'm a kick-ass business coach, and I'm on an absolute mission to help you find your purpose in life, to help you love what you do for work every single day, to help you be the rock star that you are meant to be, to make more money than you ever thought was possible, and to have more time freedom so you can actually enjoy the life that you're living. I'm here to help you set your life on fire.
The next person we're going to bring on the stage, I am so excited for you. I'm not going to do the introduction, though. I'm going to let someone who is a big mentor of mine, someone who is incredibly successful, who is a mega celebrity in this industry, someone that all of you know who he is, and he is going to introduce our next speaker. So without further ado, we're going to play this video and bring him up on stage. Sound good?
So today, I'm here to share with you, introduce to you a gentleman who's a dear friend of mine. He's helped me immensely, and it's the idea of how do I get my information out and engage my customers, and primarily how to use video to do that through the web. Helped me set up my studio and really helped me get going. He's been a dear friend, but more importantly, he's been a consultant to some of the biggest companies in the world. Here's a guy that started literally from nothing, but back in the early days of the web, back in 1991, most people forget, 1989 is when the World Wide Web really was created. So within a few years, he was already the guy that was, writing some of the first CD-ROMs games, that were out there. Did some of the first Mac games that existed for Macintosh. Went out and became the person that really, when the movie industry, was the guy that set up all those initial websites for Sony and for Columbia TriStar and for Fox. Was a guy that's, managed or helped some of the largest business in the world, 3M, Domino's Pizza. I mean, the list goes on and on. But he's also shown people how to get started from nothing. And I know that's what he's probably most proud of. So I want to introduce to you Mike Koenigs, my dear friend. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thank you.
Come on, let's give a big Life on Fire welcome to Mike Koenigs. Stand up!
All right, we'll just say hi to our friends at our Periscope friends. Hi, Periscope friends. There we go. Let's do one more. Just say hi to everyone. Hi, Life on Fire, Nick Unsworth. Awesome. All right. Well, I try to do that every time I speak. And if you think about it, I mean, just raise your hand if you've been playing around with Periscope or any of the personal broadcasting stuff. All right. It's pretty interesting. The challenge I've had with it is it's like, well, how do you make money with Periscope, right? It's like, and really it's a great tool for building a relationship or enabling or increasing the quality of a relationship you have with an audience. I haven't found it specifically the best tool for creating one, from scratch. So that's a huge part of what I'm going to share with you today. And we're going to be talking about webcasting. So just by I'm going to do a little bit of hand showing. I'd like you to raise your hand if you already have a business, okay? All right, I'm going to do the flip of that. How about raise your hand if you are building or creating a new business or you're in the process of reinventing yourself, okay? Kind of a half and half sort of a thing. So the good news is what I'm going to share with you today is going to work no matter what, okay? So as I say up here, becoming the authority, which is ultimately, in my opinion, it's building your fame, is the most valuable, important thing you can ever do. Because if you have an engaged audience that you have an intimate relationship with, people are going to follow you, listen to you. They'll either buy what you recommend or buy what you have. And in order to do that, just because you have, let's say, some traffic doesn't mean you have a list. So ultimately, the next big thing is you need a list, and you want to have control. Just because you have subscribers on YouTube or watchers on Periscope doesn't mean you really have a list, okay? And having a loyal audience. And again, building your celebrity status. I'm going to be talking about what I believe are the best and most powerful strategies of getting there. And then I also think, and if you saw Lisa Sasevich earlier, she had that picture of her with her son in Uganda. Well, she's been sponsoring my wife's foundation called Just Like My Child. Nick's helped before with that as well. And, you know, it's getting wealthy with a purpose, because ultimately there's only so much you need or want. What are you going to do with it, right? What are you going to do with your celebrity and your fame? So I would suggest that your goal in life should be to build your fame, your celebrity status, build your wealth, because you can help a hell of a lot more people when that's done. Fair enough? Okay, good. So I'm going to begin with a little story here. It's a story about a watch. And it was 12 years ago, actually 13 now, almost exactly. I called up a friend of mine. His name is Merlin Quiggle. I swear to God, that's his name. I'm not kidding. His mother must have hated him. But Merlin is a guy who introduced me to poker about 20-some years ago. And I used to play poker with a bunch of old men in a trapdoor basement of a cigar store for 10 years straight. So I was this young kid in my 30s at the time. I had a little agency. And Merlin would bring me down, and we'd play, and it was a bunch of old guys. It was like a $20 game. You know, it wasn't big money, but I really learned a lot about psychology and how to bet and how to think that way. I hadn't played poker before. But on this day, I was in Palm Desert with my wife, and she was shopping in a little store. She was pregnant with my son, Zach. And, well, we didn't know it was Zach at the time, but it eventually became Zach. And I said, Merlin, what are you doing? He said, I'm out shopping for Rolex watches to give to 3 of my best friends and clients. I was like, holy crap, Merlin, how much of those things, what do they cost? I didn't know. And he's like, you know, $8,000 to $12,000 each. I go, why are you giving them Rolex watches? That seems like that's a really nice gift. I mean, Merlin was not rich by any stretch of the imagination. He did marketing for Christian colleges. He did like print and video marketing. And he said, well, here's the deal. These 3 people have been responsible for all of the business that I've been receiving for 10 years, a full decade. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have a really good life, a quality of life, and I've only needed a few clients to have a nice living, and I've got clients I care about. I said, well, that's fair enough. That's really smart. And he says, and from a purely selfish point of view, who do you think they're going to think of every time they check the time? And I thought, that is the smartest thing I've ever heard. And it really is going to be a recurring theme throughout this entire presentation, which is how can you become that thing? Which leads us to this. I'm going to have you guess, how many times does the average person check their phone every day? How often do you think you check your phone every day? 800? Okay. 25? 500? All right, 60? Hearing a lot of numbers. It's 150 times a day is average that people are checking their phones. So with that in mind, if you use the little watch metaphor, and if you look at it these days, I would say raise your hand if you don't have your phone next to your bedstand when you sleep. If you don't, okay? Almost no one. I rest my case. It's around 86% of all people have their phone next to them all the time. And usage right now in terms of data going through the internet, more than half of all the data that passes through the internet is going through mobile, and almost all of that, 80%, goes through apps. So, with that in mind, your goal, no matter who you are, what you want to do, if you want to have a business, if you want to build your status, your visibility, is to be seen, heard, viewed, listened to on any device, anywhere, anytime. That is on every phone, in cars, televisions, laptops, tablets, desktops. And in fact, they've all merged. I don't know if you've got the new Apple TV, for example. The Apple TV, the latest one that just started shipping, is interactive. Apple's allowing you to process payments with a click of a button, up to $10,000 for a click from your television. It's here. And the same apps on an Apple TV are the same apps on a phone or the same apps on an iPad. It's totally integrated. So the big idea is you want you to be in the pockets and bedrooms of your prospects. Okay? Anytime, anywhere, on demand. So a couple more numbers for you. These are more just to put your mind in the right frame. There's about 300 million network-connected televisions in use right now. That number is increasing dramatically. That's Apple TVs, Chromecasts, all those gadgets. 2 billion internet-connected tablets. For over a year, tablets have been outselling computers, desktop and laptop computers, of which there are about 3 billion internet-connected desktop and laptop computers worldwide. Around 7 billion internet-connected accounts. Okay, so that would be mobile phone accounts, iPads. So again, I'm going to have you raise your hand in sequence here. Raise your hand if you have 10 or more internet-connected devices in your household. That's tablets, phones, televisions, computers, desktops, laptops. Okay, now raise your hand if you have 5 or more. Okay? So the point is, we're connected. The Internet of Things is here to stay. And again, getting back to it, you want to be seen, heard, viewed. And this is something else. About 96 million people listen to streaming audio back and forth from work. The average span back and forth is about 30 minutes each day, 26 miles. 52% of that's streaming. Okay? So that means if you have a podcast, for example, people can be listening to you at their convenience. That's a great example. So the bottom line is 73%, over half of the human race right now is connected with one of these services. And if you can just figure out how to provide and create valuable content that people will actually consume, you can own their minds. You can be the watch. You can be in their pockets, in their living rooms, desktops, et cetera, et cetera. So some of the big ideas that I want to share with you today is you don't just want to own the screen, you want a piece of time. The most valuable asset and resource we all have is time. We can never get it back. We can always make more money, et cetera, et cetera. And these days, most people are spending a minimum. The average person is spending over 2 hours on their phone a day right now. Okay, especially millennials. It's actually substantially higher. So what we have to do is think of ourselves as being in the attention business. I don't care what business you're in. From now on, if someone says, so what kind of business are you in? Your answer should be, I'm in the attention business. That's right. Your job is to get and keep someone's attention, to own a couple minutes of their day. If you do that, a certain percentage will always do what you say and buy what you have to offer. It's a statistical fact. It's as simple as that. Okay? The next thing is realize that you're never in the education business, you're in the entertainment business. You have to find a way to get and keep someone's attention. And that doesn't mean you have to jump around and be a clown. It doesn't mean you have to become a comedian. What it means is there's an enormous amount of competition out there. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of PewDiePie on YouTube. PewDiePie? All right. So this is this goofball who has a show on YouTube. He has 41 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. His videos have been watched over 10 billion times. The guy makes over $1 million a month, and he basically plays video games and swears at the same time. That's his show, okay? But his programs last a couple hours, and that's one of the reasons he's giant. So I'm not saying you have to play video games and swear on a YouTube channel to be successful. But what you need to know is the people who are really becoming successful, that are blowing away traditional media, are in the entertainment business. They get it. So here's another big idea. Now, earlier when I walked up here, I was using Periscope. And I walked up, And while I did that, I had a whole bunch of people started following me, and they were putting up, you could see hearts flying, and they were saying, hey, Mike, and blah, 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 blah. Well, the whole idea is right now we live in this environment where we can have super fast feedback loops. And the basic idea is, if you think about it, a great athlete, a great speaker, a great performer, a great anyone or anything has fast feedback loops. The faster you get accurate feedback, the better you get at what you do. The faster your muscles grow, the more healthy you become. We require constant information and feedback from things and people we trust in order to get great, and also to become rich and wealthy and successful. It doesn't matter what it is. So the beauty of what I'm going to share with you today is if you can find a way to have a conversation with one person or 10 or 500 or 5,000 at once who can give you feedback and tell you what they like about you and what you have to offer, you not only build trust, but you, again, gain the ability to communicate, to sell, to provide information, knowledge, and grow an incredibly valuable business in a short period of time. You with me so far? All right, cool. So I talked about Periscope and Meerkat and Facebook Mentions and Blab. These are some of the tools that are completely free from your mobile device where you can do live streaming, interactive stuff. The thing that I am most excited about for a whole bunch of reasons is webcasts. And I'm curious, raise your hand if you watched one of the videos that I've done with Nick. Okay, a couple of you? Okay, great. So a webcast, by definition, you've got a video, some sort of chat, and then ideally some means of sharing. So I can say in the beginning of a program, now if you're with us right now, if you'd please click on the share button and share this video with someone you might know would blah, 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 on social media or send an email or whatever it is. And at some point in the program, we might say, and there's an opportunity to join us right now. You can click the buy button and invest in the program. So for the past 6 or 7 years, I started doing live streaming interactive video in 2007, back when it was very, very new. And I've decided to spend the rest of my professional career focused on this. It's the most exciting thing. I think it's disrupting. It's going to transform every part of the media. And businesses that don't think of themselves as being in the attention-getting and entertainment business to some degree, doing interactive content, are going to fade very, very quickly. Okay? There's a lot of signs indicating that's the case. But the great news is it's accessible to any entrepreneur right now for free. The question is, how do you do it? How do you make it profitable? So another nice byproduct of webcasts is you can practice and perform mind reading by learning some very simple techniques. I'm going to share them with you today on questions to ask, how to present information and knowledge, so you can literally feel like you're reading the minds of your audience. So right now, if I have a conversation one-on-one with you, you could pretend you like me and smile and still think, hey, it's full of crap, okay? And in an online environment, people are behind the safety of the glass of their screen. They tell you exactly what they're thinking and feeling. And if you ask a question, whether you have 3 or 5 or 50 or 500 people, you can feel and look at what 65% or 70% of them want to know and what they're feeling, just like that in real time. And adjust how you're presenting, performing, or talking. It is, in my opinion, I will say, the most intimate form of communication on a mass level, even on an individual level, that exists today, if you know how to use it. Now, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what is. It excites the hell out of me. It gets me out of bed every day. Maybe I'm an uber nerd, but so what I'm going to introduce you to next is something I call the You Everywhere Now system. The basic notion is this. Let's say, no matter what it is that you're interested in, or you're an expert in, you're an authority in, let's say, for example, you started a little video from your laptop, you cracked open your laptop, you set up your microphone, turn on your webcam, open up Google Hangouts or Webinar Jam or any tool that's free, and you started a little program, and you just started answering questions, okay? Fair enough. We can all do that. Doesn't require any special technical skills, and it requires no money. You could do it from a McDonald's Wi-Fi on a $49 Android device, for God's sakes, okay? There is no barrier any longer. But with that content, after you answer a few questions or create some content, you can post it on video sites for free, like Vimeo or YouTube, okay? So we've got one form of content. We have our live streaming. The second is our video. The next thing is we can easily, for free, distribute it as a podcast. Now, the beauty of podcast is it is the one form of communication that has 100% deliverability. If someone has subscribed to your podcast, it shows up every time you push an episode. It's got higher delivery than email, any other medium. I believe it is the best form of communication and relationship building, second only to interactive webcasts. That same content. So the same content could be transcribed very affordably into an Amazon book, distributed for free, to again build your visibility and your value. Now, I just finished my 10th book in less than 3 years, and my strategy is I perform my content, I teach, I have it transcribed and edited, and I turn that into a book. It ends up going through some editing and some tweaks, but the fastest I've ever produced a book is in 4 days, from concept until it was published and a #1 bestseller. And I'm not a superhuman. I barely passed high school, okay? I am an ADHD. I am an unemployable boob, okay? I'll just say that for the record, okay? I happen to just kind of figure out a few patterns. But, so that's Amazon books, free. Next, you can easily perform content. If you don't have any products, you can actually do a presentation for money or for free and turn that content into a product. You know, the same basic idea of turning a teleseminar or webinar into a product. Next, you can distribute your content on social sites. You could put it on a blog, or you can also use that content to get attention of the media. So again, this gets into this whole idea of create once, distribute everywhere to any device, anywhere, on demand. It's a concept I've been calling you everywhere now. And again, I would use that in your mind. You first of all say, what business are you in? Attention business. And what do I do? What's my goal for marketing? It's you everywhere now. It's me everywhere now. Okay? I want someone to say, I read, I heard, I listened to, I viewed, I watched, I have you in my pocket. That's the greatest compliment you can get these days, aside from you changed my life. That's a nice thing that someone can say to you. Okay? So I'll give you a variety of case studies. One of them is J.J. Virgin. Raise your hand if you're aware of who she is. Okay, she is a remarkable human being, one of the most abundance-minded people I've ever worked with, incredibly generous. And in the past, now her core business, she's a New York Times bestselling author, although she spent 20 years grinding it out, working her butt off before she got her break. I will tell you that. You know, overnight successes don't exist. She's one who worked her rear end off. But in the past, she's done book promotions and JV stuff, and ultimately she makes most of her money selling shakes and bars. That's what she'd say, okay? And she teaches paleo diet, that sort of thing. Well, what she started doing is I introduced her to webcasts a little over a year ago, and she started coming to my studio, and I basically taught her my process, my system. And in about a year, we've done 5 webcasts either together or she's been doing them herself. And it's resulted in several 6-figure days in terms of selling products. She pushed her last book to a New York Times bestseller. So instead of doing a traditional book launch, she used a strategy. And she's learned more about her audience in 2 hours than in surveying them for 10 years. So I'm going to play a little video because she can say more in less time than I can right now. But I'm just going to give you an idea of how she thinks and how she's changed her thinking in this short clip.
Hey, I'm JJ Virgin, author of the New York Times bestsellers, The Virgin Diet Cookbook, and The Sugar Impact Diet, and I am just off the set of my webcast to launch the Sugar Impact Diet Cookbook. And I'll tell you what, I'm more excited about webcasts than anything else that I've got in my marketing arsenal, and here's why. Number one, you want marketing feedback. You want to know exactly what your consumers are asking for, what their objections are, what they want. Do a webcast, because on that chat roll, you're going to get the best intel that you could ever get. You're going to find out what do they want, what are their big concerns, and guess what? You can also overcome their objections and get social proof in real time. It is so powerful. Now, second thing is, you want to have great conversions, you do a webcast, because I've got better conversions here 10 times what we can do in other ways by just going on a webcast. People love these. It is so powerful. It is really the wave of the future. So much so that this is now what I'm going to be focusing on for all of my marketing strategies. It's all going to be going to driving to a webcast, because I know if I can get them here, I'm going to get them involved and create a relationship that is going to be one for life. I've chosen.
Okay, so the bottom line is she's doing higher end stuff. She's been spending time in my studio, but what's important is every single thing I'm going to share and show you can be done from your built-in webcam on your laptop and a tool like Google Hangouts, which is free, or just raise your hand if you invested in Webinar Jam. I know it's super popular. Okay, not everyone here. That's interesting. Okay. Well, a little more proof. There's her diet cookbook, which hit New York Times bestseller list. I cooked with her on this little webcast. I dressed up. I got to be her man slave. There we go, man slave, yes. Right? I don't mind, what the hell, you know. Guys got to do that every once in a while. But as a result, we also experimented with, so one of the things that I've been doing over the past year especially is experimenting with every format I can get my hands on. So one of them is we did the equivalent of like a PBS special. We got 9 experts together and did a back-to-back show that lasted, believe it or not, 8.5 hours. Okay? You're like, why in the hell would you do something like that? Well, this will make sense in a little bit. So we have different sets. We brought on different people. They all taught something. They shared something, kind of like a TED Talk. And the results were amazing. So using 100% joint venture partners. So all she did is had the people who were on the show promoting the program. We got a total of roughly 30,000 opt-ins. I know it was within like 80 or so of that. At our peak, we had 9,100 viewers. This is a very important thing. Usually, if you have registrations, about a third of the people show up when you do a program. That's kind of the norm these days. Now, we had 5,422 average viewers, and what we did is we sold a $97 product on this webcast. And we had 2,530 buyers. Roughly half of the people bought the product. Okay, it was 48%. Now we did an encore, so we did a replay, and that added another 557 buyers. So bottom line is, we had this long format show, made some good money, and we started this network. We call it the Health Network Live. So one of the things I did, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why in a bit, but we started a program. Again, an opportunity right now for anyone in any business is to just start, even if it's just like you on a webcam, starting a channel, an information channel, interviewing people, presenting some content. It doesn't require any expense. It doesn't require any fancy production. But the value of building an engaged audience is incredible. So just for the record, because we've done the tests, we know that the value of 5,000 interactive viewers is worth more revenue and money than 1 million television viewers when you actually do the numbers. So I don't know about you, but doesn't 50 or 500 viewers seem reasonable to build that up? Okay. So what if in a year, if you got up to 5,000? Does that seem reasonable or realistic? So the whole thing is, again, that's the opportunity we all have in front of us. Well, we've also done an experiment with people, complete noobs, okay, who have never spent any time on camera before, and we put together a show, did the same thing, but none of these people had spent time on camera. They came in and I basically taught them the process of how to do a presentation, how to do a webcast, and perform on camera, and I wanted to control it. So my strategy for creating products is I experiment, I sell something, and then I package the how-to as a how-to program. Okay? So I start with something live so I can control it. But anyway, we had these people here, and this is Leanne Reed. She is a CPA. So she just took some information, the same information she's been talking about and teaching. She gave away a book called The Money X-Ray. Did a little 15-minute presentation. Okay, and there she is. And before this, she was a little mousy gal who was afraid to be on camera. All right? The next one, he's right here. Okay, so this is Jason Prawl. He's this guy who had like horrible health problems. He cured himself, did some health-related stuff, and now he coaches people on how to basically get skinny and get healthy. And he gave away a little program, again, a little 15-minute talk. Here's another gal, Cindy O'Sullivan. She actually has spent time on camera. Here's a guy who hasn't. Steven is his name. And here's another guy with a prop. He's demonstrating something. He's an ADHD expert. And he also did a little presentation. He had a little prop with a spinning wheel. Okay? But here's the bottom line. Just using social media, promoting on Facebook, social, and also our audience. So what's great is if you do interviews, if you do programs, it's a great way to build a list, build an audience without having one of your own. You're borrowing it. Okay? So we got 1,500 registrations. At our peak, we had 900 total viewers, 275 average. So each person got 50 to 119 leads. Okay, so they gave away something in exchange for a gift. Jason Prawl booked $75,000 in new business. Again, with an average of 275 people watching. Sidney O'Sullivan got over $150,000 in new business. Now, full disclosure, they were selling products ultimately that were around $5,000. They're doing higher end coaching, which is my recommendation. Always sell more expensive products to fewer people than trying to figure out how to sell cheap stuff to a lot of people. It's just as much work. And then, this is what's really interesting. We converted this show, we just transcribed it and turned it into a podcast and a book. So, when we released the podcast, just with the people who registered, it was enough to push it to #1. Doesn't take a lot of people to hit subscribe to become a #1 podcast. That is a badge of honor you have for the rest of your life. Okay? And then it became number 31 overall on iTunes. We took snapshots. And here you can see it reached #1 in new and noteworthy. All from the audience that we had that registered for this thing. Okay? So here's the dirty little secret that a lot of people won't want you to know. To push a book, for example, to a #1 bestseller in a category often only takes about 50 to 100 sales in a 24-hour period. That's what it takes to become a #1 bestseller. To become a #1 podcast often only takes about 100 or so, 100 to 200 subscribes. And then you just monitor when it shows up. But that's a badge you have for the rest of your life, being a #1 podcaster. Okay? It doesn't take a lot. And look, we're all afraid the first time we do this that we're going to look stupid or we're going to do something wrong. But guess what? Most of the planet never has the courage to do one thing and take a step forward. Just doing something means someone's going to follow the leader. They're going to look at you and say how courageous you are, even if you're crappy at it. Okay? We're all horrible the first time. It's totally cool. What are you going to do? You're going to die if you just try, right? This ain't going to happen. What's on the other side of fear? You know what it is? What? Rhymes with bupkis. Okay? Nothing. Nada. Zilch. There's nothing on the other side of fear. On the front end is one thing. It's called bullshit. All right? So what did we do with the book? We had it transcribed, segmented, slapped on a cover. Okay? What was it? The logo. Put everyone's name on it. And it included a free gift from each person. Published it. Bam. Pushed it to a #1 bestseller. In a day with the same list we had already built. So that model right there is something anyone can do with no money and just talking to a few experts. And I'm going to give you a strategy on how you can get experts with big names to actually say yes to you. You interested in that? Yeah. To borrow some credibility? I'll share it with you as we move along. All right. So at the end of the show, we poured some champagne because people who were terrified, sweating bullets under their armpits, even the ladies, felt totally fine because it only takes about a day to become completely comfortable on camera. It's not hard when you just learn a little bit of the psychology. So here's another case study. John Assaraf, good friend of mine. I had been on his rear end for years saying you ought to do a webcast, you ought to do a webcast, you ought to do a webcast, you ought to do it. Finally I did one. And raise your hand if you're familiar with John, you've invested in his stuff. Okay, great. Wow, a lot of you. So he does personal growth-related products, money, weight loss, etc. And what he started doing is creating evergreen webcasts. So when he started out, he was horrible on camera. Even though he had been on TV, he just wasn't very compelling. But he studied. I would say he is the best student I've ever had. Okay? But he started doing as much as $1 million to $2 million per month, and 100% of his traffic strategy has been Facebook traffic. He's been experimenting now with other forms of traffic, but getting 8,000 to 14,000 new weekly cold leads. So he's running an evergreen. Basically, all that means is just replaying the same video over and over again with live chat. Okay? So last month he came into the studio he did $1.1 million in a day, and then the replay brought him up to over $2.5 million in a 7-day period using the strategy. So I have a question. Okay, it is a seed, which is, if I showed you how he got his traffic, his 8,000 to 14,000 leads a week, would you want to know? Okay, all right. Me too. I wanted to know. So you guys just aren't interested at all. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. You can't have it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm only going to teach this half. No. All right, I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to play his video right now, but it's really good. All right, so you want to see it? First part? All right, I'll play just a little segment because John, his psychology is amazing. The reason why he's so successful is because of how he thinks. So he's going to talk about me in here, but just pay attention to how he thinks. That's the most important thing. So I'll just run that little clip for you.
Hey, this is John Assaraf, New York Times best-selling author of Having It All and The Answer. And several years ago, when I decided that I really didn't want to go from airplane to airplane, hotel to hotel, auditorium to auditorium, teaching and sharing with people what I've learned about growing companies and mastering, one's mindset, I turned to Mike Koenigs to help me understand the use of webcasts and really being able to get in front of an audience no matter where I was in the world using my computer or laptop and sharing my message with them and my skills and knowledge that would hopefully help them achieve their goals and dreams. And what I can share with you is that one of the lessons I learned many, many years ago was that you should hire people who play at things you have to work at. And when it comes to webcasting and live casting and getting your message in front of people, there isn't a person I know of that is better at understanding the technology side of it, the psychology side of it, and the way to automate it so that you can generate as much income as you want, either from home or business. And in the last 2.5 years, since I've sought out Mike's advice and followed his blueprint for webcasting and live casting, I've taken my company, NeuroGym, to about $1 million a month in sales right now, using live casts and webcasts. And I consistently use Mike for advice on what's hot, what's new, what's working, what do we need to tweak. And if you get a chance to either work with him personally, or if you get a chance to buy one of his programs or attend one of his events,
I'll move on.
I can't give you a bigger
here's
endorsement.
the most important part of what I think he says, which is find people who play at the stuff you have to work hard at. And I think that has been one of the most valuable pieces of advice I've ever gotten from anyone, which is those who make it look effortless, okay? Because there's always something behind it. So my biggest goal for you today is to help you see a pathway to becoming famous and rich. And like I said, that may sound like some big bombastic thing, but it is possible for anyone. It really is. We live in the greatest moment in human history right now where every one of us can publish at the click of a button for free. And the whole question is, okay, if someone is pulling it off and you're not, what do they got that you ain't got, right? It's not another tool and another goodie or a gadget or a silver bullet or a magic button, okay? It's how they think. It's how we think. So I'm going to pack a whole bunch of psychology in a short period of time here, so you'll want to take some notes as I race through some of this stuff. But ultimately, I'm using webcasts as the vehicle because I believe, and what I've learned, is it is the fastest way to get there. All right, so really quickly, my very brief story is I grew up in a little tiny town called Eagle Lake, Minnesota, population 763, so every once in a while if I say Minnesota or boat, you'll know why. I still have long O's, and my dad, he talks like this, there, he says up there and down there and stuff like that. My dad was a barber. He's 77 years old. He still cuts hair 3 days a week. Lower middle class, 4 kids, like I said earlier. I am a high-functioning, I know it's not okay to say retarded person, but that's basically what I am, all right? I could not learn growing up. I don't learn in a traditional learning environment. I didn't learn how to learn until I was probably about 18 years old, and I got the hell out of Catholic school. 12 years of it, by the way. So if you ever detect a little anger, I'm over it now, I think. But the shrinks have had a heyday with me. So, but I did figure out technology at a pretty early age. But as time went on, I struggled like we all do. And I had started a company called Digital Cafe. It was a marketing agency because, again, I think I mentioned I'm unemployable. So if you can't work for someone, then you got to make some crap up and do it, and hopefully someone will say, hey, yeah, I want some of that too. So at some point, the company was failing because I didn't know how to run a business worth a darn. I was about $250,000 in the hole. One thing I did have was a credit limit, and I was paying my employees with credit cards. Got to that point, way in the hole. And I heard about Tony Robbins, and I had seen that big guy on TV before, and I thought, all right, someday I'm going to buy his stuff because I was in the dumps. I got to the point where I was buying my food on a Guess credit card, a Super America credit card. And so I went home one day after working very late, and we didn't know how we were going to even cover payroll. And I walked into my apartment, and in my mailbox was a brand new credit card with an $8,500 limit. And I went upstairs, I turned on television, cable hadn't been turned off yet, and it was like 2 in the morning, and guess who was on TV? I kid you not. He was advertising Personal Power 2, that's my box right there, and I bought it. And I had it rushed, and 2 days later, I was listening to 15 minutes of the first CD, and I'm like, this guy's speaking to me, I need what he's got. So I called up the phone, their 800 number, and I signed up for all of his stuff. I basically racked up the last of the credit I probably would ever have, and 2 weeks later, I was in Hawaii at Life Mastery with 3,000 people who were jumping up and down and hugging each other. And where I'm from in Eagle Lake, Minnesota, hugging another dude means you're super gay. And that was before being gay was cool, all right? So I was like, what? I'm screwed. I have nothing. So after 2 days of people jumping up and down and hugging me, I decided I'd jump up and down and hug people too. And it actually felt pretty good. And it didn't mean a damn thing. So I was hugging dudes, and pretty soon we were taking showers. No, we weren't doing that. But anyway, there's nothing weird about two dudes just kind of hanging out in a shower, or whatever. But anyway, so, I mean, not now, but back then it was like, so anyway, I'm just messing with you. It comes from love, heart. Yeah, all right. So bottom line was, 90 days later, I kind of had my act together. 6 months later, I bailed the company out. I learned enough because it was the psychology that I learned. And the other thing is I learned the value of investing in myself when I felt like I had nowhere else to go. So that was one lesson was, as horrible as credit card debt is and was, it was the thing that bailed me out when I needed it the most. And since then, I've financed most of my businesses. I've never gone to a bank before, but I financed and grown my businesses with credit card debt until the past couple of years I've done very, very well. But anyway, so that's the personal power story with Tony Robbins. So fast forward a little bit. My businesses have helped about 65,000 people at last count. I've earned over $40 million online. And I also had the good fortune, it was about 10 years after I went through Tony's program, I had an opportunity to help him and even create a product with him and star in a product he created called the New Money Masters. So the point is, you never know when something you do, someone you follow, someone you invest in, who's a mentor, becomes a friend and someone who's going to go the extra mile for you. Because having that endorsement from Tony has been obviously very meaningful and very, very helpful. So it's all about just taking a risk. And remember what's on the other side of fear? Bupkis. All right, that's the word of the day. So those are some of my happy clients and customers. So I always think that in the end, what this is all about is relationships. Webcasts are about relationships, and intimacy is our outcome and our goal. That's what business is. It's intimacy. In my opinion, there's no distinction, no difference between personal and business. Our lives as entrepreneurs, just weave it. We play with the people we work with very often, and it's critically important that you love the clients that you work with, okay? And the sooner you learn to say no and focus on high quality, high value, you'll just make more money. It's as simple as that. I didn't learn that. I'm 49 years old. I wish I would have learned that 20 years ago. All right, so here's the last part of the personal stuff. May 7, 2012, I was diagnosed with stage 3A colorectal cancer, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a horrible place to have it. The good news is all the parts work, and I don't have a bag. So thank you. And we are a week and a half away from my 3-year anniversary of leaving Duke Medical because I was so late stage. I couldn't go through the holistic naturopathic stuff. It would be like 6 months and I'd be dead. But I had surgery, chemotherapy, 33 rounds of radiation, and it was not fun. But as of a week and a half, January 28th, I will be 3 years clean, and there's no bad stuff in my body now. So thank you. And it is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. It really is. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. My son's happy too. So now, one of the things I decided while I had cancer is I got to stop doing what I'm doing and only do what I love. And the one thing I saw, I made a vow, which was as long as I live, I'm going to spend a lot more time with my family, and I'm going to strike up the courage to build the business that I could be happy dying having done. Be absolutely proud of it. I don't know about you, but that has got to be a driving force. So one of my core values is to create 1 million entrepreneurs before I pass and before I die. And so October 6, 2014, I sold my companies, Traffic Geyser and Instant Customer, and a bunch of products to a publicly traded company. And technically, I wouldn't have to work if I didn't feel like it for a long period of time. But I thought, okay, if money were no object, I could do anything I wanted to do, and I couldn't fail, because you know what's on the other side of fear. What would I do? Right? So here's what it was. I started an online interactive television network. I called up JJ, and I said, do you want to do it? She said, hell yeah. She actually just moved to San Diego last week to do the show. So this is a little video of my studio. I've got about $1 million studio in San Diego. I kept my studio when I sold the businesses. And I called up my friend Dave Asprey, who is the founder of Bulletproof Coffee. They're out here. They're my first sponsor. And I can't believe what's happening just talking about it. So why am I sharing this with you? It's not because Mike's great. It's because creating a show and thinking of yourself as being in the attention-getting, the entertaining, and being in the show business is a new way of thinking. We're all in show business. Lisa Sasevich is in show business. Nick Unsworth is in show business. He shows up. He shows you a path. You are in show business. And when you show people how to get what they want or how to feel the way they want to feel, you will be paid. And the more you increase your visibility, oh yeah, those are my legs. I forgot that was playing. All right. So that's my video tour of the studio. All right. So those are some of the things we're doing. And I've never been so excited to jump out of bed as right now. And that's why I'm here sharing this with you. It's like, bam, what can you do? All right. So, what the hell is that in there for? So here we go. Common webcasting myths. I'm going to give you some juicy tidbits. You ready to write some stuff down? All right. So number 1, I don't have traffic or a list. Does that sound like you? All right. Write these down or take a picture of this screen. So here's some free websites to promote webcasts for free. Did I mention for free? All right. So one of them is webinarbase.com for free. Webinarlistings.com for free. Eventbrite.com. You can create as many events as you want. You can create a webcast a day and put it on Eventbrite, and it shows up in the search engines. Slideshare.com. You can put your slides up there with links to your webinar or webcast. Facebook events. I can't believe how few people use Facebook events. Free Google Hangouts events. When you create a Google Hangout event, it goes out all over the net. Google indexes it in 20 minutes. So you give a Hangout a name that people search for often, guess what shows up on the search engines? Amazon author pages. If you are an author, raise your hand if you've written a book. Curious? Okay, few of you. All right. Post on social pages, all the usual suspects. Also inviting an expert. I'm going to give you a magic word, a phrase you can use to attract celebrities to your show. And that is also to offer to be an expert on a podcast. Find podcasts that have people on them that you admire and like, and call them up and say, I'm an expert on, boom, boom, boom. You'd be amazed at how quickly you can get booked. All right, so I'm going to give you a little case study. This is Brad Costanzo. He's actually a friend of Nick's as well. That's how I met him. He's been a consultant, and he partnered with a real business, a real estate business. And this guy does real estate training. So I met with him one day, and I said, Brad, you ought to do webcasts. And he goes, okay, I'm going to do one. I said, when right now would be a good time to schedule it? And he says, I'm going to do it in 2 days. He scheduled it, so he got started. He did 6 figures on the first day and another 6 figures over the next week. So I'm going to play a short little video clip for you, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what happened. But again, pay attention to the psychology and how he thinks.
Hey there, Mike. Brad Costanzo here. I've got to tell you, the marathon, telethon, webathon style live cast that you were talking about the other night in our mastermind really inspired me. And that was Tuesday night. So Wednesday decided, okay, myself and my partner Kent are going to do this. And Thursday we did an 8-hour live webathon where we sold multiple products. Actually had a 6-figure day. I believe we just broke $100,000. I mean, today's Friday. I just got done looking at some of the numbers, and that doesn't include everything else we're going to do. Now, what was crazy about this is, you talked about how effective it was. Well, within like 18 hours later, we had this thing ready and rocking. No idea what we were doing. There was no strategy whatsoever except get on there, be authentic, pull in as many offers as we can, hit the list like the night before once, and then 5 times, I think, the day of, letting them know, look, we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy, but let's just see. And dude, it worked really smoothly. It was fun. It was exciting. Lost my voice a little bit, but everybody loved it. We got tons of feedback. We've got a great recording, and I mean, we sold $30,000 in the first few hours, and then it just kept on coming in, and everything from product sales to coaching applications to coaching sales and everything else. It was just really tremendous, and I had no idea it would work as well as it did. And it's big thanks to you, man. You inspired me, and hopefully you're inspiring a lot of other people to give it a try. I think we're seeing a new big trend in this industry, and I think it'll be a good one. Thanks a lot, man.
I love those kind of videos. I love that. So the bottom line is he just used Google Hangouts and answered questions. So when I talk to people who say, I can't sell, or insert excuse here, if you like to help people and you can answer questions and you're willing to say, and I'd like to spend some time helping you grow your business. Okay? So one of my favorite lines, write this down, is I have an idea about how you can grow your business. I have an idea about how you can grow your business. And that's what you say after you've answered some questions. And you don't have to be prepared, because people come and they just start asking you questions, and they'll stick around in an interactive show. And that's why these things last so long. It doesn't feel like it lasts 4 or 6 hours. It doesn't feel like it lasts 8 hours. It just does. So if you, let's say you were making $1,000 an hour, would you stop talking to your webcam if you were making $1,000 per hour? Would anyone? Okay. I rest my case. That's why these things last. The longest I've ever done lasted 13 hours. Okay? We had a $3.1 million day. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. But I'll tell you what, that was a day. All right. So the next one, I don't have a business or a product. There will be more pelvic thrust towards the end of the day. All right, so, and that is a very common one, and that is the wrong way to think about this, because you can create your products on the fly based upon the feedback you get. What I recommend you do is do 4 or 5 free webcasts, start rapport, start answering questions, and find out what people want to know and what they're thinking, and then make an offer on the 5th. Okay, you're going to have your loyalists there, and they're going to be hypnotized by your voice and your character and your authenticity and the fact that you're showing up willing to answer questions. Okay, it just means having the courage and looking at fear straight in the face. And what's on the other side of fear? That's right, butt kiss, ladies and gentlemen. Someone wins a $20 bill. All right, so the next one is, I don't like the way I look on camera. And you know what the answer to that one is? Rhymes with get over it. So here's the thing. If you're interesting looking, it works to your advantage, because perfect people don't sell as well as ordinary people or funky looking people. Okay? Funky gets and keeps attention longer. So, I have one of my clients, his name is John Bowen, and he likes to say I have a face made for radio and a very shiny forehead. But he sells to financial planners. And so his specific audience are certified financial planners. Fantastic audience to sell to, by the way. So he started doing webcasts, took the advice, started doing them weekly. Also, he started calling up other experts that he knew his audience listens to and trusts. And he invited him on his show. Okay, I'm getting somewhere with this, all right? So he's doing multiple seven figures. He still works out of it. That's his home office right there. And so he uses webcasts and podcasts to attract clients. And then he just says, I have an idea about how you can grow your business. And he's in the business tools business. He just teaches other people how to grow their businesses. Okay? And he's packaged that know-how. So he started out consulting. And then once you've consulted a few times, you package it into a product and you sell it. You're using the same strategy every time. All right? I'm not an expert or authority. Well, neither was I for a long period of time. But you know how do you become an expert? Write this down. This is the most powerful phrase you'll learn, the one I mentioned earlier. Can I interview you on my show? Could I interview you on my show? Oh, come on. You could be, yeah? All right. Could I interview you on my show? Okay. No one says no. All right? Even when you're starting out. And if they do, you ask someone else. John Lee Dumas, that guy's doing several $100,000 a month right now, anywhere from $200 to $400 a month. That's what he started doing, okay, 3 years ago. That dude's making millions right now. He was a nobody with nothing to offer. But can I interview you on my show rarely gets a no. And it just means no for now. You want to build your authority and your credibility, you borrow it by interviewing someone. And then you put their picture on your website. And then when you meet them sometime, you find out where they're going to be and you get a selfie. Now you've got brand association. That builds your credibility. What did my credibility, if you've never heard of me before, do when you see me with Tony Robbins, for example, right? If you trust and like him. So these are some of the people I've interviewed over the years. I've had Paula Abdul. This is Harvey McKay, big business leader. It's Brian Tracy. All right, there's Bill Glazer, Dan Kennedy, if you know that, that's the marketing world. There's Jorge Cruz, okay, David Bach, Ariel Ford is a big publicist of many years, Tony, Darren Hardy from Success Magazine, Debbie Ford, lots and lots of people. Again, I focus on the business and the entrepreneurship market. There's Kevin Harrington, Tim Ferriss. I've had them in my studio. There's Verdine White from Earth, Wind, and Fire and the actor Richard Dreyfuss. So all this began with a little bit of courage and facing fear. What's on the other side of fear? That's right. So those are powerful words. The two most powerful words I've ever found to grow a business are, can I interview you on my show? That's how you build your credibility and your authority. And the second one is, I have an idea about how you can fill in the blanks here. Help grow your business, lose weight, Who's going to say no to that if they've already told you, I need help? If they showed up on your webcast to listen to you answering questions, they've already said, I need help. You just have to present an offer after building rapport. And that comes from answering questions from the heart. All right. Tristan and Sabrina Triscott. So they did a free Qigong webcast workshop. Same thing, kind of like Brad Costanzo. I don't think we can do it. We've never done this before. We don't know how to do technology. So they sold 11 people at $1,000 each. Okay? Another one, I'm not technical, I don't have a studio, I don't know what services to use. Okay, well I already told you what to use, Google Hangouts, right? The extent of your gear is as follows. So, do we all have a laptop here? Yes. Okay, so we got past that. Okay, so you have a light, okay, a microphone. You can use the built-in microphone in your laptop. One thing that I recommend is an earpiece, an over-the-ear piece. You don't have those big clunky things and something going in front of you. To me, that looks like a pedophile lives in their grandmother's basement. I know that might sound offensive to some of you, but I think you know what I mean. Don't wear those things. They look horrible. Instead, you have a little earpiece in the back so it looks good. You want to look brand appropriate all the time, okay? Take a snapshot of yourself. These little things. And then I love selfie sticks because on the fly, I carry around that phone. I still use it. You don't need a cameraman. Who knows when you might meet a mentor you can interview on the fly, okay? And then how to interview. That's all it is. Oh, and then you got to have a notebook. But you have a little gig bag. I carry around a studio everywhere I go, always. Always waiting for an opportunity. So that's all you need. Next, I'm not good at copywriting or marketing. Well, if you can talk and answer questions, you don't need to be, because that's all good copywriting is. Okay? So this is a guy named Chuck Boyce. So he started doing webcasts as a business. So if you're looking for a really good business that doesn't require a lot of overhead, doing webcasts for other people is a great one. So he started doing real estate events. He talked to a guy who does real estate events, and he said, can I broadcast your events while they're happening? And if they're profitable, sign a deal with me. He said, I'll do 2 of them for free and see if it makes you some extra money. So here's what happened. Net result is he rented some gear. He hired some people on Craigslist to do it. So he was the mastermind behind it. And the bottom line is, while he was there, one of the sponsors of the event said, hey, during lunch, can we broadcast us demonstrating our stuff on the stream? And he said, yes. Got another $2,800 just for that. So he made some extra dough. But here's a little story from someone who was there.
I'm Melissa Hampton from Brenham, Texas, Town and Country Realty and Mortgage. I had been sick for the last 2 days and emailed Matt to let him know that I could not come. However, I wanted to be able to watch it online, and he said, sure, we're going to send the link. So he did send the link this morning, and as I sat there watching it, thinking all those people in the room getting all that synergy and all that great information and all the freebies and discounts, and there I was stuck on my sofa in my PJs with my coffee. I put my coffee down. I went into the shower and left it live streaming while I was taking a shower in the bathroom so I wouldn't miss anything.
That's what I'm talking about.
And jumped in my car and got here as fast as I could. It was a 2.5-hour drive, and I made it, and I will never miss another Explode. It was worth the energy to get over here, and just being here I feel better. So don't miss it. You'll be sorry if you do.
Yeah, nice to hear, right? So again, the opportunities to just bring you anywhere are huge, and to bring other people anywhere. All right, this is another one. Raise your hand if you think you don't like to sell, okay? Oh, come on. Is that all? All right. Okay, well, the whole point is, if you're here, it means you sold your mommy to give you a, okay? You cried for a boo-boo. All right, so you're not dead. That means you know how to sell. The point is, we all know how to sell. It's just how we get attention. You can cry for a boob, but really, well, we could go all night on that one. That came out of nowhere. I'm sorry about that. This must be the Catholic in me coming out. But the point is, well, what the hell? I'm sorry. Okay, but you can just be a teacher. That's my point. You don't have to sell, because if you're answering questions and you're doing it from an authentic place, people fall in love with you very, very quickly. The faster the feedback, the closer the intimacy. Another one, I don't have a team. Look, open laptop, press button. Yes, there's a little more to it. I don't know what's going on here. Something naughty. All right. All right, another one is, but my business is different. Webcasting won't work for me because. Look, I've never seen a business it doesn't work for. If you have a need to demonstrate, answer questions, or build a relationship with another human being, it will work. And you can turn that content into any format you can imagine. So another example is Pat Zemer. He has a pain relief system for horses. He started doing webcasts. He used to be on the road selling. Now he just does it remotely from his laptop. And he's expanded now. He's bought some more gear. He's gotten a little more fancy. But he just started out with the basic stuff. And his first day, he had a 5-figure close, and he didn't believe it. Okay? So, very quickly, the 3 commandments of webcasting. I don't know if you've heard this quote before. I fear not the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Bruce Lee. It's a great one. The whole point is, if you learn these 3 principles, that's all you need to know. So the first one is get people to sign up. Okay, I gave you a bunch of free sites, but also borrow credibility from other people. But the real reason, the real thing you need is a great reason why. Today, I'm going to teach you the 5 myths about, the 5 things you need to know about, the 5 reasons why you're failing. Give them 3 or 5. That's enough to get them to sign up. And then you create questions, you answer them, and it gets converted into podcasts that you can reuse and repurpose so you don't have to do them over and over again. Next one is get people to show up and engage. So what does that mean? That's what chat's all about. Okay, so how do you get people to engage? So the first thing is this. Okay, I can't believe how many pictures. I watch people who are doing webcasts and they're like, hi, I'm crabby. Look, you gotta, it's buy a stand-up desk or put your laptop on a couple of boxes, stand up. Smiling's free, but it actually increases all the happy chemicals, dopamine, et cetera, et cetera. You've heard that before. And people like you when you smile, okay? Okay, next one. This drives me nuts. These speak to one. So whenever you're speaking, it's not all of you. It's hi, how are you today? From the moment it starts, you have a relationship with one person, and that's the person on the other end of the camera. You just smile. And if you're afraid, you just look at the camera as though it's the one you love the most, your child, your dog, or cat, I don't care what it is, husband, wife, spouse. That's what you have inside your mind. Serve one person, and they'll like you when you smile. Hi, how are you? Good. You having fun? Good. All right, next one. Keep their ears, eyes, and fingers busy. Why? You don't want them clicking on some other stuff, okay? So, oh yeah, that was our, we dressed up as genies. Isn't that pretty? That's my new bouffant. Okay, but that is a really important thing. And when you keep their eyes, ears, and fingers busy and you ask questions, you get to read their minds. And ask questions that help you determine what the flow, what the feeling of the audience is. And just like now, this is great. I love speaking live because I can feel you. You can feel the energy in here, right? When the drums are playing and everything, you feel the music. The same is true. It's interesting, you get used to feeling an audience even when it's virtual, based on the feedback you get. Okay? And this becomes second nature quickly. How do you get attention? You open up with a story. Now today I opened up with a story about the watch. I also told you a couple stories, the Tony Robbins story, for example. So you open up with a story of transformation, someone you've helped a little before and after. That's why I do case studies. Another one is having props. Now you saw that picture earlier of our predictions. That's where I had the costumes, but props are costumes. I also had some props up here. I brought my bag. So anytime you open up, right in front of your webcam, you have a bag and say, I'm going to open this up in a little while, and I'm going to show you something inside that's going to help you. Okay? So you put it aside. Well, now the curiosity is up. People don't go away. Okay? It's important and easy and free. And passion sells. So again, when you're speaking from the heart, that's right. That's what I'm talking about. But I got no bras to take off for you today. That would be a little creepy. All right. And also timeless. I never mention dates or times or what the weather's like in a webcast, because what if it's a great performance? What if we're selling and 5 out of 10 people buy the product and the show lasts? What if you could do a replay and it can keep on making you money over and over again, right? It's a simple little tip, but people ruin their performance by talking about the weather, talking politics or whatever. We just keep it out of there. So the third is get them to take the next step. So how do we do that? Number one, we seed the sale. We let people know what's coming up. Okay? You talk about the benefits and what they're going to get and feel like, and also including social proof. So for example, I had social proof. I had Brad Costanzo, I had J.J. Virgin, I had John Assaraf. So everywhere you go, the next most valuable thing you can ever collect is an example of someone who's worked with you, talked to you, who can talk about the benefits of working with you, the results they've received. Okay? So you saw the Brad Costanzo video earlier. Okay? Also inserting so that you can. Okay? When you start making and using webcasts, you'll find that you'll sell more, you'll build a better relationship, a more intimate relationship with your clients and customers so that you can work less and make more. Okay? And you put someone in a place where they can actually imagine themselves with the results of the product and the service that you're selling and providing. Okay, again, this becomes very second nature when you learn some of the language patterns. And then including irresistible bonuses. And a reason to get off the fence. I say the only thing you get when you're sitting on the fence is, especially if you're sitting in that one, that ain't going to feel too good. If you're into that kind of crap, I don't want you as a customer. I'm going to tell you that right now. You know, it's not that it's weird or anything, but anyway, you get splinters and slivers. Do you say splinters or slivers here? Splinters? We say slivers in Minnesota. You get slivers. I don't know. All right. So you give them reasons why. The reason why you want to invest in this right now is so that you can. Explain the value. Reasons why. This is one of the most powerful copywriting marketing language patterns imaginable. And then you ask for the sale. I know I can help you. I know for a fact I can help you make webcasts, produce podcasts, or whatever it is. Increase your fame. And while people are buying, this is just like Home Shopping Network, you acknowledge the buyers. We love hearing our names. So when John from Miami invests in the program, and I say, John from Miami just invested in the program, thank you for that. I can't wait to see you. Make sure you say hi to me on Facebook as soon as you join. I'm not kidding when I do that. I want a relationship with my client, but they're like, I can't believe it. He said my name. This is great. Anthony, I am so glad you joined me. Daniel, you know? And that's what happens. There's no difference between real life and behind the screen. And I mentioned already, the benefit of a long format, if someone gave you the chance to make $1,000 or $5,000 an hour, would you turn off the faucet? Hope not. Not unless your goal is 25 grand an hour. That's a good day in the office, honey. If you ask me, anyway. So the question to ask yourself, and this is important, I ask you this for two reasons. Let's say you did your first show, and you made an extra grand, and you knew you could replicate that 12 times a year. How much more income would you make? Right? How much more income do you believe you could make either creating shows, creating products, selling with webcasts, or just increasing your visibility? Maybe just starting a podcast as a result of building a relationship with a live audience.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed the episode here with Mike Koenigs, and the best thing to do next would be to go to lifeonfire.com, interact, join the community. We have thousands of people that are also subscribers and watching Life on Fire TV, so hop over to lifeonfire.com, interact, comment, say hello. If you have questions, myself and our team and our community are there to answer for you as well. If you're watching on YouTube, comment, engage, interact, and for sure, subscribe. And also, if you're on iTunes, we've got the video podcast and audio. We would be very, very grateful for you to not only subscribe, but to write a positive review about why you like Life on Fire TV. Because we are going all in with Life on Fire TV here in 2016. We want to keep growing. We want to keep delivering, more and more content to you. So we'd be very grateful for you to subscribe, comment, interact, and also write us reviews. So thank you for that.
I'm here to help you set your life on fire.